Hello, Chris here again. Before we get to making this model smoothable, let's go ahead and organize our outliner. So I'm going to open up nodes, click on any models that are in those nodes, and middle mouse click and drag them out. Then I'll go to Edit, Delete All by Type in History. Then I will delete any empty nodes. And then I'm just going to go through and make sure all of this is named for now. I'll name this front plate, D-pad frame, D-pad. We'll name this select, and this one start. The B frame, A frame, and B, and A. Then I'll select all of those parts and then hit Control G, which will group them, and then I will name the group controller_high. Next, I'm going to go through this piece by piece, and we want to create a high poly. So we want this to be able to smooth. Notice that when I hit 3 and look around, various edges that should be hard have all collapsed, and it's giving this sort of gummy look to it. We want to be able to smooth this to get rid of any faceting or unrealistic edges, but the trick is maintaining the hard edges, so we need to fence in or reinforce edges we want to be hard. So I'm going to start by double clicking on this edge to get the entire inner edge there that wraps all the way around. Then I'll double click on the upper edge up here. So I'm just making sure I've got them all. And I'll get all of these. And once I have all of them, to quickly give them fenced in edges, I will hit bevel and then turn chamfer off. And now you'll see that I have an edge that runs along both sides of that edge. And if I hit 3, you'll see that that edge, both of those edges are now remaining hard after being smooth. So I'll hit 1 to turn smooth preview off. And for this whole video, I'm just going to be going through and making sure edges that I want to keep hard have fenced edges, have edges on either side of them that are very close. And I'll either use this bevel chamfer off technique, or I will use the multi-cut tool and manually drop an edge on one side then the other. Occasionally I will need to clean up edges or n-gons as I go. So you kind of just need to be wary of where you're dropping an edge loop and where that edge loop is going to be wrapping around the model. So you'll notice as I go through this that I am toggling 1 and 3 on and off very often to check to see what it's going to look like when it's smooth. I'm going to select all these edges and do the same thing. Bevel, chamfer off, decrease the fraction, check smooth preview. So that's looking good. I am getting some pinching in the corners. And to fix that, I need to edit the edge flow so there are no n-gons. At least in this circumstance. So I'm going to drop an edge loop here, and I'll connect that vertex with this one. And I'm just going to triangulate here by dragging that vertex together with the target weld tool. I'll do that to both sides. I'm not going to target weld that one. So I'm going to undo that. And we'll just create edge loops to support the new topology. That looks pretty good. I'm getting pinching in this corner here from that added edge loop, so I need to select all of these edges here just to about there and move them down a bit. Same with this one, I'll slide it. And that looks better, so let's do the same thing to the other side. So that piece is looking pretty good. Let's go down to the next piece, this back shell. I'm going to select all these outer edges here and bevel them, turn the fraction down and segment up. And then we'll do the same thing for the inner edges, except we'll turn chamfer off to keep those inner edges sharp. Now, if you weren't worried about putting this into a real-time engine, then you'd go through this process and you'd essentially be done with the modeling. We're going to create a low poly version of this to bake the details onto it. So this is just sort of the first step of the modeling. And once we're done making sure everything is subdividable on this model, we'll go ahead and create the screws that go in the back, and then we'll create the cord and the plug, and then the high poly will be done. I have a non-planar face here that I need to fix in order for my bevel technique to work. And the bevel may not work, so I might just have to drop. Oh, there it goes. If it's not working, you can drop an edge loop with the multi-cut tool. But I saw I had that pretty dramatic non-planar face, so I just needed to adjust that, and then it worked for me. Do your best here. This part can feel a little tedious sometimes, but once you start to get it, it will go kind of quickly. You'll be able to make good decisions about where to put your edge loops. The trick is just not getting frustrated or giving up, and you'll get the hang of it. Going to get rid of this edge that I just put here because it's creating pinching along the cord insert. So I'm going to manually create an edge here to get that corner to look the way I want it to look. Having n-gons on the high poly isn't going to be a problem in terms of the bake. You really just don't want n-gons on the low poly. However, you should only be, you should typically not have n-gons while you're modeling on the high poly because it's going to make modeling more difficult. You won't be able to drop, edge loops and stuff. However, if you're at the tail end of a piece and you need to create an n-gon to, create good smoothing or something, and it's not going to impact the rest of the model, then, go for it. That's a lot of caveats, though. And generally, you should just avoid n-gons. Just making some minor adjustments here. Need to get this back indentation still. And I've sped this up in parts, obviously, and I'm voicing over it. But I would say, all in all, this video took me probably about half an hour to do in real time. I'm cutting it down. And in the next video, we will wrap up the smoothing of the buttons and the other pieces. And we'll see you there.